MashaAllah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. Today is a Saturday, the 11th day of Sha'ban, 1444 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also corresponds with the 3rd day of March 2023. Alhamdulillah. We are still reading the book Al-AKHDARI, and the last time we spoke about the dangers of the tongue and how the tongue can be a good tool and at the same time a bad tool for us. Hey. Don't come and disturb me. Don't pass in front of the mic. Oh, you truly you are a Fulani girl. Truly you are a Fulani.
You are Fulani too?
You are Fulani.
I'm Fulani too.
Not you. Hey.
But I cannot speak.
Oh, okay. So, we are still on the page 13. And the last time we spoke about the tongue and then, the ills of the tongue and how well we must use the tongue is very, very important. And that the Almighty Allah tells us in the Quran, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ, that there is nothing that is going to come out of our mouths except there's an angel recording that. So let's be careful what we use our mouths for. And one thing that I want to advise us, especially as mothers and women, let's be careful the kind of statements we make on our kids. Sometimes a kid will do something that is wrong, yes, and then you hear the mother saying some unkind words to the child, especially cursing the child. Please don't do that. As a mother, whatever you say to your kids, whether positive or negative, has a very, very strong, it's very, very potent. There's a scholar who said that anytime he does something wrong, when his mother screams, she prays for him, may Almighty Allah make you an imam. In the end, he became an imam. So it's important we understand that. Today we are going to look at وَيَجِبُ عَنِ النَّظَرِ إِلَى الْحَرَامِ. That is on the next page, page 14. It is an obligation upon the responsible one to protect his eyes from looking at the prohibited things. It's very, very important. I don't need to explain to you what the prohibited things are. We know them. Things that that is not appropriate for us to see. And sometimes protecting our eyes from looking at the prohibited also means from spying on people. Some Muslims want to spy and see what are you doing. Sometimes you are in your home and they want to know what is going on there. It's not right for a Muslim to do that. It is not permissible for him to look at a Muslim in a way that harms him. So don't look at a Muslim in a way that will harm her. So a sister comes to the Masjid, maybe she's not dressed in full hijab. Don't look at her in a way that will discourage her from coming back to the Masjid. Or someone comes to the Masjid and they make a mistake. Don't look at them in a way that will harm them, that will discourage them from coming to what? From coming to the Masjid. Or you are a Muslim and then there is a sister who is in her full hijab. Because you cannot do the full hijab, you look at her in a way, I don't know, what is this? We live in the 21st century, you are dressing as if you are from the 15th century. No. Sometimes we find some of us do that. some Muslims who are trying their best, to be upright Muslims who are trying to get closer to the Almighty Allah. We find other group of Muslims trying to what? Trying to look down upon them, or use bad words upon them, or make statements about them that are not appropriate. So don't do that. This is unless the person is a transgressor, in which case one must not keep his company. So if, for example, the Muslim is someone who is not an upright Muslim, that doesn't mean that you should look at them in a way that is demeaning. No, you need to just advise the person, let the person know that what they're doing is wrong, and also try and keep your company away from that person. You only get closer to the person for a reason. For example, if there's a sister who is involved in some immoral acts, you only go closer to them to advise them. Don't go closer to them to sit and relax, because if you're not careful, you copy their habit. That said that the example of a good companion is like you're sitting next to someone who is selling cologne or perfume. If you go to a shop where they are selling cologne or perfume, either you buy one or you get a gift, or at least they get you to test one. So you come out, you're feeling what? You're smelling nice. So that's the example of having a good companion, sitting next to someone who is good. And then the example of sitting next to someone who is a bad person is like you've gone to visit the blacksmith. Either your clothes, get burnt, or you get some, speckles of fire on you, or you have a bad smell. This happened to me last week. Just last week, I wanted to go and have a haircut. And I booked an appointment with, one barbering shop after Isha. I went there before Maghrib, around 5:30, and there were two people. So I said, no, after Isha, I'll come back. I got there, and then right at the entrance of the barbering shop, some guys were smoking weed. And then they'll come into the shop, they'll go out, they'll come into the shop. By 5-10 minutes, the whole place was covered with weed. And then I almost got suffocated myself. I almost got suffocated. And after some time, I told him, I'm leaving, I can't stay. Oh no, I'll finish with this guy. I said, no, it's not about you finishing with this guy. This atmosphere is not right for me. So if I go out and someone meets me and then he smells that bad breath on me, or that smell of the weed, is like, Imam, what happened? So it's very, very important you choose who your friends are. Don't let your friends choose you. The next point, he says, وَيَجُبَ عَلَيْهِ حِفْظَ جَمِيعِ جَوَارِهِ مَا اسْتَطَاعَ, that it is an obligation upon the responsible one to protect his limbs to the best of his ability, the whole body. Protect the whole body from doing wrong things. Don't forget, on the day of Qiyamah, the Almighty Allah tells us in Surah Yasin, الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. That on the day of Qiyamah, the Almighty Allah will seal our mouth. And then our hands and our legs are going to speak. The hands will speak, and then the legs will what? Will give testament of what the hands are saying. The hands will say, I did the touching. The leg will say, I went there. The hand will say, I did the beating. The leg will say, I went there. So the mouth is going to keep quiet. It's going to be sealed. And then the hands and the legs are going to speak. After that, وَقَالُوا لِجُلُودِهِمْ لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا. Afterwards, the mouth will tell the hands and then the body, why did you make such a witness against us? قَالُوا أَنْتَقَنَا اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْتَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. That it is the Almighty Allah who gave you the mouth, the ability to speak in the dunya. He gave us the ability to speak here on the day of Qiyamah, and there is no way we are going to lie in front of the Almighty Allah. So all our hands, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Don't ever involve yourself in the sam'a, our ears, wal-basara, our sight, wal-fu'ada, and our hearts. كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. We are going to be asked concerning how we use all these organs. Understand it? You see, it's not only about we being questioned about our ibadah, our salah on the day of Qiyamah. Also, how we use our body parts is very, very, very important. In a time whereby if you want to be a celebrity, or you want to have money and get rich, in this time for women, with all due respect, you strip naked on TikTok and Snapchat, and then you get millions of likes, and then you get money. It's a very, very testing time. And most often than not, sometimes you find young Muslim women in that. And then you speak, when you talk, they say, no, it is my body, it is my choice. I can do whatever I want to do. I am using my body to thank the Almighty Allah. You see the mindset. May the Almighty Allah safeguard us. So he goes on further, he says, وَأَن يُحِبَّ لِلَّهِ. If you're going to love anybody or love anything, do so for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Wallahi. Do so for the sake of the Almighty Allah. If you have a sister here that you are close to, don't love her because at the end of the day she has some gifts for you, or she has some connections, or she knows some people that can connect you to people, so that's why you are nice to her. No. If you're going to love the person for the sake of the Almighty Allah. وَيَبْغَضَ لَهُ. If you're going to hate or detest something, do so for the sake of the Almighty Allah. وَيَرْضَى لَهُ. If you're going to be pleased for the sake of the Almighty Allah. وَيَغْضَبُ لَهُ. If you are going to be angry for the sake of the Almighty Allah. The Prophet Muhammad was always smiling, he was always a calm person, but the moment the deen is touched or people make a statement that is against the Almighty Allah, then they say the Prophet Muhammad, his face all of a sudden will turn red. Don't forget the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad where he said on the day of judgment there are 7 people who are going to be under the shade of the Almighty Allah. And amongst them he said, رَجُلَانِ تَحَابَّا فِي اللَّهِ اجْتَمَعَا عَلَيْهِ وَتَفَرَّقَا عَلَيْهِ. The 2 people who met for the sake of the Almighty Allah. They loved each other for the sake of the Almighty Allah. And when they are parting ways, they part ways for the sake of the Almighty Allah. This is a very, very, very important aspect in our lives. Nowadays, you have people who are friends for benefit. They're only with you because of the benefit that they get from you. The moment that benefit is not around, she's run away, she's gone. There are some people, they meet you and then they're smiling. They will swear to you that, hey, Haji Asali, if you're not around, I cannot leave. And then it's like, oh, I cannot live without you. Malakun karimun fi mazharihi. He looks like an angel in front of you. Wa shaytanun rajimun fi makhbarihi. But he's a devil behind your back. If he meets you, he's the face of Abu Bakr Siddiq, like in qalbu Abi Lahab, the heart of Abu Lahab. So my sisters, whatever you're going to do, Allah, do it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Even with your husbands, whatever you're doing, do it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. It's very, very important. Your kids, do it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. And inshallah, the Almighty Allah is going to reward you. Inshallah, the Almighty Allah is going to take care of you. I give you the example of Asiya, radiallahu anha, whose husband is Fir'aun. But she was there, she lived for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Until date, we are mentioning him and then speaking her name. So please, whatever you are going to do, do it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Ikhlas is very, very important.
Yeah.
Doing for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Wallahi, whatever you are doing in this dunya, make sure you are doing it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Everything that you are doing. Well, as some of the scholars said, even when we are going to sleep, we should sleep for the sake of the Almighty Allah. And they asked them, how am I going to sleep and then sleep for the sake of the Almighty Allah? He said, sleep with the intention that when I wake up, I'm going to get the energy to worship the Almighty Allah more. So even in your sleeping, you are even being rewarded for sleeping. This is why we are here in the dunya. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The Almighty Allah didn't create the jinn and then the human beings except for them to come and worship Him. So make sure you do everything for the Almighty Allah. وَيَأْمُرُ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Please enjoin righteousness. Order people to do good. وَيَنْهَى عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. And then forbid people from doing evil. When people are doing wrong, don't clap for them. Sometimes we have that. Some people will post some things on Facebook and then we go and like, and then we comment, oh, you're looking beautiful, my sister. Oh, my sister, you are brightening like the sun. No, it is wrong. She's posted a picture of her on social media. That is wrong. Don't like it. Don't make those comments. Don't clap for the evil. And then when people do something good, encourage them, especially the kids. When they do something good, encourage them. If you have gifts, give them. That will put them steadfast on the path. That is why there are competitions, we give awards, we give gifts, so that the kids will understand the importance of that, and then to pull them closer to doing that. So when kids do good and then they excel, encourage them. Don't push them aside, don't throw them away. وَيَحْرُمُ عَلَيْهِ الْكَذِبِ. Lying, we've already spoken about that last week. Backbiting, we've already spoken about that last week. Carrying tales, which is you take from one, you take it to two. This is now what we do. We pick the phone. Hey, Hadia Sali, did you hear what Hadia Mimuna said about you last time after class? Oh, it is not nice at all. What did she say about you? I don't want to say it so that people will say I'm gossiping. Me, I'm not gossiping. I'm just telling you so that you be careful about her. Salaam alaikum. And then she cuts the line. And then she picks, and then she calls Hadia Mimuna. Hadia Mimuna, do you know what Hadia Sali said about you after class? Only Allah knows. Be careful about her. So Sali and Mimuna come into the masjid and they are looking at each other as if they are enemies, not knowing it is some Fatima who has caused that problem. Carrying tales. And this is something that most often than not, you women are engaged in. It's very, very dangerous. You break up friendships, you break up relationships because of what? Carrying tales and namima. Wal kibr, arrogance. Let's be humble. Because at the end of the day, we are going to put you down there in 6 feet. And then the worms are going to eat your meat. That's it. That's who you are. When you die, we just get cotton wool and put it into your nose and then shroud you, like shawarma, and then we bury you. That's it. So don't be arrogant. No matter how beautiful you are, no matter how rich you are, no matter how knowledgeable you are, don't be arrogant. Be humble. When you are humble, the Almighty Allah will rise you up. Wal-ujub, vanity, which is you see yourself as somebody and everybody else is nobody. Wariya, showing off. We've spoken about this. Don't show off. Whatever you're doing, do it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. In Islam, there are 2 conditions for the acceptance of good deeds. The first one is al-ikhlas. Do it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. The second one is make sure you do it how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us. Don't do it the way you want. Was-sum'a, bragging. I have this. I have that. I have the latest Gucci bag. I have this. I have that. No. Wal-hasad, jealousy. Take that out of your heart. Jealousy. Yes, Islam allows us, to be jealous or envious of some people. But then, in what situations and conditions? The first one is that the Almighty Allah has given someone money, and the person is spending that money on the way of the Almighty Allah. You should look at that person and say, I hope the Almighty Allah also gives me this type of money so that I can also spend on the part of the Almighty Allah. This kind of envy is what is allowed. Or the Almighty Allah has granted someone with knowledge and the person is teaching people, is encouraging people, and you're like, oh Almighty Allah, I wish I had something like this so that I can also help people. But then if it's about worldly gains, she's wearing the latest, I also want it. She has this, I also want it. She has that, I also want it. That is not allowed in the deen. It's very, very wrong. Wal-bughd, hating people. Don't put pressure on your hearts hating people. Forget about it. وَرُؤْيَةُ الْفَضْلِ عَلَى الْغَيْرِ, seeing oneself as better than others is also not allowed in Islam. It is wrong. Winking and pointing in mockery, al-hamz wal-lamz, that is someone is coming in, look at her over there, because you are gossiping about her. Wal-abath, frivolity is also not allowed. Mocking is also not allowed. Fornication and adultery is wrong. Looking at a marriageable female, this is also very, very important, that you find young men, having some relationships with, young women which are not allowed. So my younger sisters and my daughters, if you go to school, don't intermingle with boys. No intermingling with boys. Even if they are your classmates. If there's a need for you to ask them something in class about your class, that's okay, fine. Islam allows you to do that. But then, going out, you want to go and play b-ball with them, you want to go play soccer with them, you want to hug them, you want to play with them. No, Islam doesn't allow that. That is what opens the door for a lot of things. So Islam says we should lower our gazes. Don't look at the marriageable female with an eyesight that is not right. And then deriving pleasure from her voice, speaking so that to get pleasure from the voice of a woman, this is also not allowed. Consuming the wealth of people without their contentment. وَأَكْلُ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِغَيْرِ طِيبِ النَّفْسِ, That is what? Finding a way to consume people's wealth without them agreeing. Because you have a position, or that you have, some virtue over them, and then when you ask them something, they won't, say no, even though they are struggling to make ends meet. You use that position you have to squander their money. It is wrong. وَأَكْلُ بِالشَّفَاعَ أَوْ بِالدِّينِ, gaining income through intercession or the religion, using the religion as a way to devour people's money. Okay, you come, I give you, I'll do dua for you, and then you get your green card. It's haram, and then you take money from people for that. I give you this, I'll pray for you to get this for you. That is not allowed. وَتَأْخِيرُ الصَّلَاةِ عَنْ أَوْقَاتِهَا, and then delaying salah from its moment, delaying the prayer beyond its proper times. It's very, very important we pray on time. Try as much as possible to pray on time. Don't delay the salah, no matter what. You live in a country that allows you to practice your religion in every place and every time. Pray when it is time. If you are in school and it is time for prayers, ask the teacher, excuse the teacher. I need 10 minutes break. You go and then perform your ablution, and then you pray, and then you come back. You are allowed. If the teacher wants to harass you, you report to the teacher. That's it. You are allowed that. Don't say you are in a public school, so you can't pray. No. You don't have no excuse. Or you are working in a government agency, so you can't pray. No. You can pray all the time. You live in a country that allows you to do that. So make good use of that. And then he says, وَلَا يَحُلُ لَهُ صُحْبَةُ فَاسِقٍ. It is not permissible for him to befriend a transgressor. If someone is a bad person, you don't befriend them. If someone is doing drugs, you don't befriend them. If someone is doing promiscuity, my daughters, you don't befriend them. If they come to school with some magazines that are very, very profane, you don't befriend them. If they listen to music, you don't befriend them. They are not your friends. They are classmates, yes. If you need them because they might be good in maths or science or whatever, you need their help there, fine, that is allowed. But then for them to be your friends, that you speak on them with the phone and stuff like that, you want to join them to go to the beach and wear small, attire to go and swim, no, it is not allowed in Islam. Don't do that. وَلَا مُجَالَسَتُهُ لِغَيْرِ ضَرُورَةٍ, and then not to sit with the person unless there's a necessity. If they are classmates and then there's a need to sit next to them because they know something in maths or science, that is allowed. But then to copy from them that wrong thing, that is wrong. وَلَا يَطْلُبُ رِضَى الْمَخْلُوقِينَ بِسَخَطِ الْخَالِقِ. The responsible one should not seek the acceptance of the creation by angering the creator. What it means is that your friend or your classmate in school is someone who is doing bad things, and then you want to be their friend. If you're doing that, you are going to anger the Almighty Allah. So don't seek the pleasure of your friend who is wrong, who is doing something bad, with what? The anger of the Almighty Allah. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى, the Almighty Allah says, وَاللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَحَقُّ أَن يُرْضُوهُ إِن كَانُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah said, Allah and His Messenger are more worthy of being pleased if they were truly believers. You should only seek the pleasure of the Almighty Allah in whatever you are doing. The Almighty Allah should be the one who you are seeking His pleasure. That's the Quran. And then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La ta'ata li makhluqin fi ma'siyati khaliq." There is no obedience to a creature in that which is disobedience to the Creator. It is not permissible for a responsible one to do anything until he knows what Allah has ordained in that matter. You must always ask questions in the deen. Don't get up and do whatever you want, how you want, and where you want. The deen is a deen of knowledge, and then you need to seek that knowledge. So it's very, very good that you are coming to classes like this where we can learn together. He must ask the scholars and follow the ones who implement the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Guide to the obedience of Allah and warn people from following the devil. These are the three qualities of the people that must be your friends. The ones who guide to the obedience of the Almighty Allah. If someone is telling you to go and do bad things, my daughter, these are not your friends. If the person is not upon the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if the person is not upon the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is not someone you can befriend. And then if the person is not warning people from following the devil, they are the ones who are teaching you all the bad music, they are the ones who are teaching you all the bad things to do at school. These are not your friends. So three qualities of someone that you must always befriend, or you must always ask are the ones who implement the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, you can find some scholars who are Muslims, but then they don't teach the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They teach their own ways. They teach what they want. The second one is guide to the obedience of the Almighty Allah, and then the third one is warn people from following the devil. Finally, the responsible one must not be content with that which satisfies the bankrupt ones who have wasted their lives in other than obedience to the Almighty Allah. This is very, very important. Don't take role models from Hollywood and all these musicians and all these superstars. They are not your role models, because most of them are not. They are engaged in things that is disobedience to the Almighty Allah. You must have friends who are conscious on the deen. Even if they are not Muslims, you must pick people in school who are very, very knowledgeable. Those are the ones that you are going to move with. But those who do the drugs, those who do all those bad things, they are not your people. I think we'll stop here, because I think there's about 10 more minutes for Salah, and then we'll take some questions. And I think this is the last class we'll have for Ramadan, because in 2 weeks' time we're going to have Ramadan. So we'll break today, so that after Ramadan we'll start on more of the fiqh issues, because this is more of cleansing your soul. And after Ramadan we'll start about tahara, cleanliness. We'll look at hayd, menstrual cycle. We've already spoken about that in our previous classes, but then we'll look at it again, and then we'll look at the wudu, we'll look at the nullifiers of wudu, we'll look at ghusl, we'll look at tayammum, dry ablution, and then we'll look at postpartum bleeding. We'll look at times of salah. What are the times for salah? We'll look at the conditions for salah. We'll look at the obligatory parts of salah, and all these things, inshallah, after Ramadan. So if you have any questions, we can do that before the time of salah sets in.
She's speaking this way.
You have a question?
Yeah, because she's figured out to tell us.
She can tell me in French. I can understand.
I think she's